Welcome to the Winning Move Podcast. I'm your host, Preston Brown. I interview successful entrepreneurs from around the world to see what moves they've made in their lives to get successful and, more importantly, stay successful. I'm here to make sure you can create a better life for you and your family. Let's tune in. Hey guys, welcome to the Winning Move Podcast. We have an awesome guest on today. He's my type of vibe. No political correctness, savage entrepreneur, Preston Brown. He operates, is it still 18 businesses from the research I did?
18 businesses. Yes, sir, brother.
Awesome, dude. All right. So my first question, which business takes up the majority of the revenue? From what I heard, you do $180 million in revenue. Which one would you say is the biggest and is most exciting?
So biggest is not most exciting. So I'll separate that. The biggest now is my home building company. We have a home building company in El Paso, Texas. I don't even know exactly where our revenue is this year. We're higher than we were, but that one's probably I'd have to pull the numbers, but we'll probably do 20 to 30%, maybe 40% more than that number you got because it was 2020. But that's my home building company, and that's my largest. It's my most profitable. The most exciting, if where my passion lies and where my time goes these days, is a company called Your Best Life. And that one is it's a boatload of fun. 16 of my 18 companies are real estate related in one way or another, which has been great. But this one's coaching, it's online coaching, and it's a travel agency where we put on events for high net worth people all over the world. It is just, it's the juice and the squeeze. Like, it's a passion project. And so that one's where all my time goes, even though it's not necessarily where I make all my money.
Awesome. So what started the home building? From what I understand, you bought it from a guy who was $200K in debt.
He was several $100,000 in debt to his trades. And he actually, being a very generous guy who liked me, believed in me, and didn't want to dishonor his trades or his lenders or anybody else, he wrote me a check for $50,000 to take that company. And so I bought it for negative $50,000. Yeah. Paid nothing for it. Like, got paid to take it, and infused some capital, paid off the back bills, cleaned up the inventory, sold it, got the money back, and then just started fresh with new product, new marketing program, correcting a brand that had failed. The previous owner was a wonderful man. He was actually a mentor of mine for years. He had retired and trusted some other folks to run the company. That not everyone can be trusted. Lazy employees are about as valuable as having thieves. They're not going to do you any favors. And so we cleaned them out. The secretary of that company from back then is now the CEO of all of my companies. And girl is an epic badass. But yeah, no, that one blew up, man. I'll give you guys a secret. It's a secret formula for like getting any customer you want anywhere. And I think I actually heard this one from a guy named Keith Cunningham, but it's good enough to plagiarize and share and then give that. It's if you want a customer, it's no different than if you want a wife. Find out what they want, go get that, and give it to them. And it is just such a true statement, and it's always been a true statement, that if you know exactly what that person wants and you deliver it, you're going to get there. And there's always a way to do it. Always. And so when you find a captive market, which home building was, like home building, at least in my community, it wasn't like everywhere else where the builder would be somebody that was wealthy. They bought land, they did entitlements, they produced the land into lots, they turned around, they built the homes, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. No, here we have like 3, 4, or 5 different developers that are enormous. These guys are the big players, right? Yeah. And there's 40 or 50 developers that we play to get the lots. Like, we're all buying lots and we're doing our part. And if we consume lots, we can get more lots next time. It's that type of model. So it's kind of a captive lot market. And we went out and we looked at it. We were like, who's the most important customer? Well, it's the developer. How do we honor the developer? How do we absorb the lots? And then we said, okay, well, who's the second most important customer? It's the consumer. Man, if I can keep that developer happy and that consumer happy by producing a product the consumer wants, there's a ton of demand, and I can absorb lots faster than anybody else. The banks are the easy part. They will come in, and any bank will fund you if your idea is good enough. In fact, here's another formula. You want money from a banker? Ask for advice. Never ask for a loan. Ask for advice, and that banker will tell you how to get the loan, whether it's with him or some other banker. And then when they know you're going to go to another banker, they generally will just make the loan.
Sorry, I'm just writing stuff down. So we're there. How important do you think when you sold that company, it was just to restart that brand? Because from what I understand, like the brand was shit with as far as everybody who was related to and had to do business with it, to where it was just overall better to restart the whole thing.
Well, no, we were actually forced to keep the brand. So we had to rebrand the existing brand, which it's a lot harder to do, but it was what was required because just based on the way that the market was in the nature of buying lots, we had to be able to come in as an established lot consumer. That was the value in the company, is they were a lot consumer for many years. Mm-hmm. And there were other companies. Everybody wants to get in and be able to buy lots. It's a great business, right? But you could work your way up for 5 years, 10 years. That was the value of buying the company, is they had that established trend of buying lots. So the brand was negative to the customer, but it wasn't negative to the developer. We bought a good existing lot consumer brand that had a terrible brand to the customer. Well, when you haven't honored your warranties and people are pissed off because this didn't work or that didn't work, and your reviews are all 1 stars, and you're going to have a new type of problem. And just kind of fun on this business. And if you want, I'll tell you a story that's very controversial and politically incorrect, and it'll make your viewers laugh, hopefully. But it'll also offend some that are easily triggered. So I'll give you that story on how to create a marketing program and a brand that is phenomenal. And when we got the company, it was struggling, but we retooled the inventory. We basically made every home amenities-wise a custom home, and just did it in production box models, okay? And from there, once we got up and on the ground, we had 70, 80 homes under construction. We had all these beautiful products. My wife had this rule, if I wouldn't live in it, you can't sell it. And I was like, oh shit, so we're putting all these amenities, and I'm putting high quality, like spray foam insulation, all this stuff that costs lots of money. And then the realtors don't want to show it because they see the negative brand. The buyers will see it on Facebook and Google and everywhere else with 1 star, and they're like, I don't want to go in there. Now, if a buyer walked in, they'd see us and they'd be like, oh my God, I've got to have this product. Like, it's got waterfall granite. I mean, you can talk to an Alexa and the oven turns on. The lights come on when you say words at the Alexa. Like, oh my, there's amenities for days. All the appliances are built in. There's hand trowel texture. There's high ceilings. Like, all this stuff that made our products nicer, but we just couldn't get people to walk in the door. So, Stratton, I meditate and I do it in water. Like, every day I go sit in the hot tub or river or whatever, and it's just my ritual, right? So I'm sitting there, and I think I'm sitting in a river one day, and I've got 70 homes, and I can't sell them, and nobody will walk into my fucking home, and I'm doomed, and I'm going to die, right? And I know that I'm 3 months worth of cash from bankruptcy, which probably means 4 months from a divorce and losing everything and all that. If the money goes away, lots of times things fall apart with it. And I'm sitting in this water, and I'm like, how do I get people to come inside my house? And you want a better life, ask a better question, right? And so I'm sitting there, and I'm drinking Trulies. And I don't know if you've had Trulies, but after about 3 of them, you're no longer stressed, okay? Yeah. Those things are dangerous, lemonade tasting, knock you on your ass drinks. And I'm like, okay, well, if I want to market to people, and I'm starting to get this like download. I'm not suggesting that alcohol gives people downloads. And so if your viewers are listening to that, I apologize in advance. Don't take that part of this. But I'm getting this download that if you want to influence people, you have to use what already influences them. And it hit me like a ton of bricks. I was like, oh shit. And so I grab my phone out. I'm trying to not get my phone wet while I'm sitting in this river drinking Trulies. And I'm like, okay, well, what influences people? Type it into the phone. Okay. And sex appeal, controversy, right? Everybody loves a beautiful man or a beautiful woman. Controversy, love him or hate him. Donald Trump got elected because of controversy, and he got unelected.
100%.
Double-edged sword, right? Then current events. That's what everybody talks about. Everybody's talking about current events. If I say Ukraine right now, it's like a trigger word. If we can put hashtag Ukraine in your podcast, we'll probably get you more viewers, even though it's not relevant to that. It's just a current event. Okay?
100%.
So, sex appeal, controversy, current events. Next one, human emotions. Human emotions. I mean, when you think about that, like, okay, well, can I make you laugh? Can I make you cry? Can I piss you off? If I get you an emotion, nobody ever buys a product unless there's some emotional pull to that product. Okay? And so like, what is it? Is it the pain emotion, the pleasure emotion? What's going to drive them? And then last but not least, I wrote this one down, brand and call to action. People are massively influenced by brand. I mean, don't believe it? Look at Apple. Apple phone users are like cultists. I used to despise them because they'd always be like, oh, you're a Droid user. And I was like, what the fuck does that mean? Fuck you. Now I have an Apple, and you know what? I got to tell the Droid users, it's true. You're all fucking losers. You need to get an Apple because, oh my God, it's so much fucking better. But like brand, man, like we all want to be part of a tribe. Like what are the first 4 letters in the word culture?
Cult.
Yeah, brand, right? What's a cult? It's a group identity. And so brand and call to action. So I'm sitting there and I'm like, how do I make this gradable? Because nobody can manage shit, but everybody can measure shit. And what you can measure, then you can manage. So everybody trying to manage that's not trying to measure first is also what you call an ignorant person or a stupid person, okay? If you're trying to manage something that you haven't measured, like watch, walk up and hug your wife when she's pissed at you. It ain't gonna go so well. She's gonna chew your fucking ass, all right? Exactly. Like, you know, if a dog's growling at you, go pet it. The way you're gonna manage this is your hand's gonna get ripped off because you're stupid or ignorant, right? So you should probably measure what's going on. And so I'm like, how do I grade this? Because once you're in business, and this is like I like your winning edge, like cutting edge piece for like businesses, that strategy measurement is key. So I was like, okay, well in grade school people are trained that they should be graded. So I said, okay, and I just came out, marketing 20%, controversy 20%, human emotions 20%, current events 20%, brand and call to action 30%. How do I get people to come inside my homes? I need to get graded on this marketing grading scale that has a total of 110 points. And I need to get attention, because that's what marketing is, it's attention. And I need to get people to come inside my homes, right? By using what already works. So I got a friend, had her get into a pretty red dress, had her stand outside of one of my beautiful homes, okay? This is right during the Jeffrey Epstein time, so you know what's all over the fucking current events. And then I put this little sign out in the yard. Hey, Jesse, you in here? Can you go get the sign that we put out in the yard? I saved the sign. And if your viewers are watching, they get to see what the sign says, and it's controversial as hell. Okay? Yeah, it might be out there. But if they're not watching, I'll go ahead and give you the words that the sign said because, dude, we got 110 points, okay? A, pretty girl in a red dress. Sex appeal, 20 out of 20, okay? Sexy home, 20 out of 20, right? And our sign on the home building company said, be the sexy neighbor. So we even compounded that a little bit. Controversy. When you get to the sign, there's going to be controversy. Current events. When you get the sign, there's going to be a current event. Humor or heartstrings. We pissed off everybody that was easily triggered and or sexually repressed. And everybody that was young, happy, curious, motivated, not sexually repressed, we made them curious. They were like, fuck, I kind of want to see that product. Anyway, I don't know where he is with the sign. I'll bring it in a minute, but we keep it around the office. It's funny. The sign said, come inside me, which is all we wanted our customers to fucking do. We wanted them to come inside the home.
That's a great one. That's a fucking great one.
And we didn't spell it C-O-M. We spelled it C-O-M-E. So we spelled it right. But, dude, we triggered fucking everyone. And it was beautiful. We got 110 points. We had 40,000 views on something called FitFam in like an hour, okay? People in other states were like, hey, could you build me a home here? Like, hey, do you put stripper poles in? And I'm like, and now, you know, we don't put stripper poles in our homes, okay? But what we will put is a fitness pole, and you can upgrade to it for $2,400, all right? And we even got negative shit for this. Like, oh, yeah, bring the sign over here. So somebody was like, oh, that's so ratchet. Why would you fucking do that? I'm like, have you seen the strip clubs at 5 p.m. on a Friday? There's lots of husbands there, motherfucker. All we're trying to do, here, bring it over here to the camera, bro. Bring it over here to the camera. No, this way. Jesse, walk that way. So, there.
Yo.
But, like, what are we doing with those stripper poles or fitness poles? We're helping people stay at home. We want to make sure that we're providing everything our customer needs. Okay, Jesse, you're good. Thanks, bro. Yeah. So, like, marketing is getting attention. And so I built this marketing grading scale. I was like, I need to get people's attention, and I need to overcome a bad brand. And let me say this. I would actually not recommend going that extremely far if you have a good business that's operating well, that doesn't have an immediate need for like a huge impact. I was 3 months from bankruptcy, to put a disclosure. So it was like, okay, I'm going to lose what, 10, 15, $20 million on this business that I mean, at that point, that might have been about what I was worth. It was going to take me all the way back down, if not more than all the way. And, I now am very politically incorrect, which I also think means authentic and honest, because I think political correctness is just dishonest. It's fucking stupid. And anybody that's doing that should probably shut the fuck up, because they're just getting triggered all the time. And you know what triggered really means, right? It just means prejudice. It means like you're prejudiced. I'm triggered because I don't want you saying words that I disagree with because everyone should be like me. Okay, well, that's like really no different than racism. It's kind of a stupid fucking thing. If you think everybody should be exactly the same as you, you're a fucking moron. That would make the world really fucking boring. Like,
exactly.
So I like the political incorrect thing. And like my hard money lending company, we joke around. It's not as loud, but it's still loud. Loans so easy, Stratton, that will make your money hard. It's just a playful innuendo.
Right? Yeah.
You can go at whatever level you want, but like use the marketing grading scale. And what you are measuring, you can manage. And what you are managing, you can achieve. You can have success with.
I've been playing with this a little bit. The other day, we do some email marketing, and I sent out an email from Strat Daddy's burner phone, right, just to see like if we could get more opens. And then I got text messages from people saying, "Hey, is this a mistake?" Right, but then again, all these people opened it up. So I have so many questions for you. Would you say the majority of your success comes from being a good marketer? I think that is the number one skill that every entrepreneur needs to have over anything.
No, probably not.
Okay.
I'm a good marketer, but I learned that. I mean, really, I'd go back to measurer, okay? Because even the best marketers are measuring the needs of the public, okay? Mm-hmm. And you can do bad marketing. Like you could go too far, and you see people do it all the time, where you have to be a good measurer, and everything has to be measured. The key to my success is I run everything through formulas, and anyone in your audience, anyone who messages me on any of my social medias, I will give you the formulas. I've got 15 years worth of formulas that have made me shit. At this point, I'm going net worth probably over centimillion number, okay? And with that being the case, like I'll give them away. Like you can have them. Everyone can fucking have them. There's one formula on problem solving, and there's 3 goals. There's 4 things you measure. There's 6 things you change. And if you understand the 4 things you measure and how to get to the 3 goals, and you understand that this formula only works for businesses, you can't use it in your sex life. You can't use it in other things. Like there's problems in other places where this formula won't work. But for business, anywhere, it's 100%. And I coach 4 billionaires, which, if they think it's 100%, most other people should probably agree that, hey, it's probably working. And I'll send that shit to you. Like message me on my social media. I'll give it away to everyone.
Hell yeah.
The problem solving formula. And then there's 4 things you got to understand. And it's the 4 things you measure, which is culture, clarity, capacity, and cash. And once you've got those, you know that, okay, my 3 goals are alignment, simplicity, and foresight. And I want to have alignment, simplicity, and foresight like that kind of rest on this structure, right? And we call a business a structure, okay? We call it an organization, not a disorganization. We call it a firm, right? We don't call it a limp. Limps are way less productive. Like try one out in a marriage, you're not going to have many fucking kids. So like we need a structure that could actually support some shit. And what is it supposed to support? It's supposed to support alignment and simplicity, which is optimization, and foresight, which is being exceptional enough to figure out the new way to get to the next level, whatever that level is that you're going to achieve. And when you have those 3 goals, wherever you're at in your business journey, and you can measure culture, clarity, capacity, cash at the level you're at in your journey, because there's 7 different levels that business owners can be in or oscillating between, then you can make the right decisions, pay the right price, advance to the next level, scale intelligently, and be wildly fucking successful. So, I mean, everything's formulas, and there's several aspects to creating a good culture. There's several aspects to creating great clarity and communication. I mean, most businesses, even your podcast, bro. I mean, look at this podcast. I don't know what the end result or goal of the podcast is, but it's a communication device. You are giving something to somebody out there who needs that thing to make their lives better. Like we got a laughing face from, I think, Anna Kobe over here. Thank you, Anna, for watching. And she's laughing probably because she either heard the story or I said something else crazy. And if she got some value out of that, and she goes out and creates some marketing, And that changes their life. And maybe for you, you sell a coaching program later. Maybe for somebody else, they share this. And you know, there's productivity. There's an impact. Like that's the game changer. That's the goal. That's what everything is all about. And so goals, alignment, simplicity, foresight, culture, clarity, capacity, cash is what we measure. And then there's 6 things you can change. And when you're looking at what can be changed in a business, it's so wonderful. Like my wife in her makeup drawer has 150 things she can change. There's so many dials. Like she can adjust 150 different dials. She can be a different woman on Friday night than Sunday morning. And I will tell you, Friday night woman's a lot more fun. Sunday morning woman's kind of a prude, wants to go to church and hang out and not do the stuff that I like in the marriage. And that's cool though, whatever, you know, but like businesses have 6. That's fucking refreshing. Like it's not complex. Like there's less shit to do in a company than you do in your car when you're driving to work. Okay. You can adjust price, product, people, place, promotion, or process, right? Simple. 6 things. And I found like if there's less than 7 aspects to anything, people can do it. You get beyond that, it becomes complex. Complexity is seductive, not productive. Productivity gets you paid. Seductivity gets you fucked. Getting fucked is really good in your marriage. It really hurts in your business. I don't recommend it.
Exactly. How did you get to be able to coach 2 billionaires? What did that relationship start out like? Did they approach you? How did they find out about you? What did they see? They're like, oh no, I need to fucking go to this guy.
Well, so, and I say I coach billionaires. I coach 1 billionaire, and then I coach like the higher level management staff of 3 others. Okay. So
good enough, man.
Most of these guys are very, very, very high level players. I mean, success is not a secret. It's a system. It's a science. It's a formula. It's a list of formulas. And when you get the highest powered, most successful people on the planet, they know that the people are the solution. Oftentimes the people can be the problem too, but the people are the solution. So when they find somebody that's really enjoying doing what they know how to do and teaching what they know how to do, because they built their machines, they can go do that. Or they can have me, who's their friend and their travel buddy and all this other stuff, and I'm coaching their higher level management teams, and I love doing it. It's just something they can take off their plate, and they can go do something they enjoy. And I think everybody, when they grow up and meet all their needs, likes to teach. But at a certain stage, like if you're no longer resonating with your business, if you're resonating more with your grandkids, and you get a guy like me and you're like, hey, let's send him in.
Yeah.
So I'd love to go say I know more than them, but it's weird, like, because I think in many cases they're coaching me, even though our company coaches their people. And one of them I coach, but we mainly just talk economics. Like he likes the way I look at things, and I like the way that you know, he'll underwrite different aspects of things. So like we're bouncing back and forth, and he calls it coaching, but I don't know if you can financially coach a billionaire, if I'm honest. Like these guys have done so much to get there. Yeah. Uh-oh. Is that a phone? Oh, shoot, I should probably put my phone on silent. Sorry, Stratton. I apologize, bro.
Don't even worry about it, dude. When did you start meditating, and how did the success like play a role? Like, what is the direct correlation? Because you sound like a very analytical guy. What's the direct correlation of meditation in your business life?
So, and let's get into what is meditation. Like, I really think that people need to clarify that for themselves. It's very different. Everybody has a different process. For me, meditating is thinking. And I'm an overthinker. Some people might need to quiet their minds. I love being analytical. I love solving problems. I'm obsessed with problems. And so for me, meditating is time to sit down and study a problem. It's time to dive in. It's time to just like go play. And I truly do think that problems are gifts. I think problems are the point of life. You know, somebody was like, oh, you know, I hate when we have problems with this, that, or the other. And this is the other day in one of my companies. And I was like, why? What would you fucking do? What would you be paid for? Why would you be here? Your job is the fucking solution to a problem. Exactly. You'd want to be like unemployed, like sitting like a potato on a fucking like couch watching TV, doing nothing for the rest of your life. You want no problems? Well, how does that work? Like, I mean, look, I'm a faithful guy. I'm a spiritual guy. I think one day we all leave, we all go home, we all go up to heaven or whatever it is, right? And then there's no problems. So why did we come here? Why were we born into this place where the best parts of our life are when we overcome adversity. Problems. We came here to have some fucking problems. You know how we all leave here? We die. It's a fucking problem. So the entire point of life is a problem that you're going to solve. What is your purpose? It's the problem that you resonate with solving. Your problems are your gifts. The fact that you consider them negative is ignorance or stupidity, which are the only two causes of pain. The source of pain is ignorance or stupidity. Like, if you are ignorant, you're like, well, I don't think that hurts, so I'll try it, and then it hurts. And then you know, and now you know it hurts, and you don't do it again. If you are stupid, you've done this before, and you're like, I don't think it'll hurt this time. You do it. It's the definition of insanity, and it hurts again because you're stupid. Do you know why losers are called losers? Because they lose a lot. It's not even an insult. It's just a fucking trend that we track.
Yep.
Like, if you're one of those people that keeps losing, you're a loser. Like, it's like if somebody's winning, they're a winner. If they buy a home, they're a homeowner. You know, like, I mean, it's not even meant to be insulting, but like, problems are fucking gifts, and the people that are losers in life avoid them. The people that are winners chase them. So for me, if we're going to go to meditation, it's a time to think. And a time to think is a time to think about what you love. And maybe this sounds crazy or whatever, but I fucking love problems. Like, I really think they're the point. And I want to solve as many as I can, because the best joy in life is overcoming the problems. And if you want to do epic shit in life and like have people like look up to you, which feels really good. Like, you know, I've got so many podcasts. I mean, dude, I think I've done like 30 podcasts in like 3 months or 2 months, and I've never done that. And I've been asked and invited to all these things, and it's like, what the fuck? Like, and I've done like, God, a speaking engagement every 3 or 4 weeks. That used to be like maybe once a year, if ever you got invited. And I'm like, what the fuck, man? I mean, it feels good. That's fun, but it's nobody calls you to do a speaking engagement or requests that you go do this, that, or the other if you haven't done something fairly epic. Like, go do some epic shit, and then people are going to be like, wow, I want to be around that person. I want to do this. I want to do that. And it's problems. And so I meditate there. Now, some people are going to have a different approach, and I think there's different personalities. My favorite personality metrics, probably the Chinese personality metric. They've been good psychologists, psychiatrists for 5,000, 10,000 years, and have actually recorded it. So they say there's different personality types. There are these wood personality types, which are the growers, like a great oak tree wants to grow, and then there's this fire personality type, loud, energetic, and all this. And then there's this metal, the wise judges, the cutting tool, etc. There's these earths. It's what everybody grows in, the very supportive people. And then there's these waters, very deep thinkers. And, when you find a person, like, I'm very wood, I love growing, but I'm also, my subdominant is water. So guess what? Wood needs water to grow. Well, guess what my wife is? Earth. And once I got this supportive second, oh my God, like my earth wife and my overthinker water and my natural wood, I meditate by sitting and thinking and having supportive loved ones around me. Now, I don't have fire. What does fire do? Burns the fucking wood down. But of course, the wood is needed to fuel the fires. So I have fires that I hire. I hire fire type salespeople, and they're loud, they're marketers, they're fun, they're this or that. Yep. They meditate completely differently. You know how fire meditates? I swear, I think it's by going out to the bar at night and partying. Like, I think that's their meditation. I think that's their downtime.
Yeah.
Okay. And for me, I need to go sit in water. But everybody's got like their own different things. So meditation, what I would define it as, is you time. I've always done it because what I've found is as that wood personality type is my dominant, I'm growing. And then as I'm growing, eventually I get exhausted. And bro, I'll just fucking stop. And I'll stop for 2 days. And what you do when you stop because you can't go on is what you should be doing regularly. And what I'm doing when I stop because I burn myself out is I'm just thinking. And so then I'm like, well, what if I added a routine around thinking? Maybe that's what I need. So I go sit for an hour in a fucking hot tub every day and I think. And all of a sudden my life took off like 1,000 times faster. Like, oh my God. When you give yourself what you need daily, I don't know, like food, water, shower, love, all of a sudden when all your needs are met, you're not going to have the same problems of not meeting your needs. And then the real purpose of your life, which is the problem that you solve, might actually start getting done. Make sense?
Yeah. Do you go on walks?
I have a 6-year-old little boy. I go on lots of go-kart rides.
Okay.
And that boy can drive. Like, I swear he's going to be in NASCAR. This kid's a badass. Like, he's 6. He's driving around the neighborhood. I'm hanging on for dear life thinking I drive fast. And I'm like, geez, I've created a monster. We're doing fucking donuts, rolling a go-kart. I'm like, oh, my God. So, no, we go on go-kart rides. Like, but we used to go on bike rides. But, yeah.
I love it. I don't know if you could hear my 5-year-old downstairs playing with toys. So my next thing is, you have 18 different businesses. My number one question, like, you take advice from a bunch of different people, and they're like, hey, focus on one thing and blow up that one thing. Everything else is a distraction. And then you have other people who are serial entrepreneurs who have a lot of businesses like you. Maybe they have 4 or 5. What are your thoughts on that, and why so many businesses? Do you feel like you would have built more bigger without as many?
No. So let me answer the question 2 ways, because a lot of times what people do is they look for like a good guy, bad guy situation, and you can see this with politics. Like, the left hates the right hates the left, and what we really need is both of them, and we need both of them to have common sense and work together, and then the progressives can create progress, and the conservatives can make sure we spend what we need to spend and not more.
Exactly.
And we can be fucking smart, but we're not smart because we get this good guy, bad guy shit. And I hear so many people with so many opinions on all these things, and they're all right. There's not a wrong way to fucking do it for you, but there's a right way to do it at the stage you're at. So,
yep.
When I first, you know what? I need to teach the stages of entrepreneurs so I can properly explain this. Because depending on the stage you're at, if you open a second business, you're going to kill yourself. Exactly. It's not going to work. But, like, I have 18 businesses, but Stratton, I'm sitting here with you. I'm doing a podcast.
Exactly.
This morning, I did a coaching call for my coaching company. And my calendar, like today, how do I do this shit? All right, so my calendar today, if I'm going to fucking look at this shit, it's you and the fucking pod and the coaching call. That's all I have. And my calendar for yesterday was my wife's dentist appointment. And then I hired somebody to do something, that I wanted to add a marketing position. Like I'm not very busy. Like, I have 18 companies, but they're fucking automated. It's not like, hey, I have 18 companies, go start 18 companies. No, it's like, I have 18 companies and I don't have to work in any of them because they're assets. One of my main mentors, a man named Dean Innes, a man you should definitely have on your podcast. The guy's a fucking genius. One day, I walk into his office and I'm some young real estate punk kid, home flipper, property manager, and I had like 7 companies. Okay. I was the typical guy that had done exactly what you just said. And I was good at my first business. So I opened another. Then I was kind of shitty at both.
Right. So
I opened another. And I got to 7 because I'm an overachiever. And when you're a shitty parent with 1 kid, you know what you should do? Have 6 more fucking kids. Maybe not. Maybe it's a stupid fucking idea. But that's where I was. I was 7 kids as a shitty parent. And, I was making money, but dude, I was working like 100 hours a week. Like, I'd fucking wake up at 2 and 3 in the morning. I had a notepad like this. And I every night I'd wake up 4 times and I have to write down things, but I'd list the business above which thing I was thinking of because that was the bad dream or whatever. And it was management by crisis. And one day, Dean and I buy an apartment complex because I just sold a bunch of properties. I had some extra cash and he was involved in a deal, and we closed on this deal, and I'm just excited about the deal. I'm like, dude, we need to get more of that. I need to get out of these businesses. I need to fucking sell them or this, or the other. He's like, you can't sell them. You don't have businesses. He's like, what?
Legitimate.
I was like, what? He's like, yeah, dude, you have jobs. You're the only idiot I know with 7 fucking jobs. And I was like, I don't understand. And he said, well, what is the apartment complex? I said, well, it's an asset. He was like, well, why is it an asset? I said, well, dude, we have a property manager. We pay them 3, 4, 5% or whatever. And they run everything and we get a check. He said, okay, well, what's a business? I just spat out the first words that came out of my mouth. Well, it's a place I go to work. And he says, yeah, and you have 7 of them, stupid. And I said, oh, shit. And he says, are there businesses that are assets? And I was like, fuck, I don't know. I don't know if there's businesses that are assets. And then I thought about it. And I was like, what do all these people invest in these publicly traded companies? Do you know the owner of Wells Fargo? Oh, no. Why? Because his business is an asset. It's run by a fucking board. Exactly. Right? There's tons of assets, small and large, of all different types. And what does an asset require to be an asset? When you start studying this in a business, you can go say, okay, well, which companies are assets and which companies are not? Which companies are jobs? And then you say, okay, well, what does it need to become an asset? And then I just said, oh, okay, well, here's the formula. And I started putting that shit in all my companies. And so that'll take me into kind of like how to answer your question on do you do more or do you do one at a time? And so let me explain the 7 stages of entrepreneurs. And this is going to be for your viewers and listeners, if they're out there wanting to know why they're stuck, it's because they're paying the wrong price. They're doing the right thing for one stage of business at the wrong time for the stage of business they're in. Most entrepreneurs are not doing the wrong thing. They're doing the right thing at the wrong time. Like I own 2 airplanes. You know what I would not tell most of your viewers? I would not tell them to go buy 2 fucking airplanes. It's a great tax write-off. You know what you don't need when you're a startup entrepreneur, an operational entrepreneur, or even somebody that's like, you don't need 2 fucking airplanes. You don't need a tax write-off. You know what your tax write-off is for most people? It's the expenses in your business. Yeah, you're growing your company. Your expenses are your fucking tax write-off. I mean, why do people go out and like, they'll go listen to some guru or something and they'll be like, oh, I should do that too. No, you fucking shouldn't. You should figure out where you're at. Because if you want to successfully navigate a business, you have to have a map. You have to have a point A and a point B. And a point A is you are here. And a point B is here's where I want to go. And if you're doing where I want to go shit when you're here, well, okay, like, do we normally ask 6-year-olds and 8-year-olds to get married and have babies? No, because that's here, not here. So a 6-year-old or an 8-year-old having babies would be a big fucking problem, even though now apparently it's okay to talk about gender and trans and all that shit with them. I know, probably stupid. So, you know, it's we live in a weird fucking world. But anyway, so stages of entrepreneurs. Stage 1, the wannabe, right? The wannabe entrepreneur. This is a real stage of entrepreneur. Why? Because they're thinking about it. And a lot of times people that are thinking about it, if they're smart enough, they become what they're thinking about. Thoughts are things. How do you turn a thought into a thing? You form it. Well, formation only happens when it's in. That's why it's called information, right? So when it comes in, that thought, information becomes a thing. You speak it, you lead it, you do it. And what's holding back that wannabe entrepreneur, the entrepreneur? They're like, well, I don't know if it's the right time, or I don't know if this, or and here's 2 facts. Circumstances will never be perfect, and it's always the right time to start. Those are both facts. And when that entrepreneur solves their mindset issue and realizes that mindset is called mindset because you set it like you set your fucking watch, they overcome that and they become a startup. And once they're a startup entrepreneur, then why do we call a customer a customer? Because you are customizing and erring in every step of the process of identifying your customer archetype. Okay. That first customer archetype, you have to customize everything. What? I got to find out what they want. I got to go get it. I got to give it to them. Why? Because I opened a business around what I wanted to fucking do, about the problem I wanted to solve, about who I wanted to help. And then I got in and I found out, wait, the customers like that, but they like it a little more tuned this way. And then you start tuning your product, your process, and your service, and your systems, and all that. And then you customize to the customer. Okay? It became customer than it was in the beginning because you had to customize it. Okay. And so startups, the reason 50% failure one is half of them never find out their customer. They have too big of an ego and they believe they're their own customer instead of their customer being their customer, and they never adapt to them and they don't find that ideal customer, and then they die. Okay. 50% of them do find their customer. And when they find their customer, hoorah, that was the graduation point to the next stage of entrepreneurship. The next stage of entrepreneurship I call operational entrepreneur. Now, a great way to say this, even though it's politically incorrect, is this is also a slave, okay? Slavery still fucking exists. It's operational entrepreneurs. This is a person that sought freedom, and they were like, I'm going to be free, I'm going to be successful, I'm going to get there. And then they became an operational entrepreneur, and they're like, I work 120 hours a week. I'm managing by crisis. I'm customizing every fucking thing. But what got them into business? They were exceptional. They were exceptional enough to overcome their own fears and mindset issues. They were exceptional enough to find their customer and change their fucking program to get to that person. And the moment your car makes an exception in the engine on the way to the grocery store, the engine fucking dies. So you just build a business and an organization and a machine around the idea of being exceptional. And now you're customizing and making exceptions on everything, even after you found your target customer. So what got you there won't keep you there. You must now start optimizing. And optimization is what's going to get an operational entrepreneur to the next stage, which is called entrepreneur. And it's a new journey because now that operational entrepreneur has to do something else scary. They have to take a lot of their margins that they're making, giving away a lot of their time.
Exactly.
Hire people, build systems, and optimize and create a machine, a vehicle. They're turning the business into a vehicle. And you know what happens then? They become an entrepreneur. An entrepreneur is literally the worst fucking stage. It's the worst fucking stage of all. Why? Because you made it. You have time and you have some money coming in. It's just way less than it was when you were an operational entrepreneur. So you no longer have to work 80 or 120 hours a week, but now there's almost no money left. So you either
this is that scaling issue to where most people, like if you have to commit if you want to get past it, is what I always say.
Yep.
Because if you don't commit, then you're just not going to have any money. Like you either have to stay, like a lot of these people like get to $1 million and they're like, if you have to like push past that or you keep operating at $1 million, in my personal opinion.
Right. And say you got to $1 million as an operational entrepreneur, and then you turned around and you optimized and you brought in people and systems and processes, your margin's almost gone or a lot of it's gone.
Exactly.
And so you're still at $1 million, but you just took a pay cut to get the business to be safe and to protect your employees. Now, maybe if you got hit by a bus, the business doesn't shut down, but at the same time, it can't feed you either. So you have to end this stage very quickly if you're going to succeed. And that's where you have to become an operational megapreneur. And it's very like contrarian thinking, because to become an operational megapreneur, you have to go back into the same fucking problems that made you an operational entrepreneur of being exceptional again. And now you're going to scale the machine. Only now it's like, hey, you know what? I built a vehicle, but I built a Hyundai. I'm going to put a fucking turbocharger on this bitch. I'm going to put some suspension on this motherfucker. So you're upgrading the machine. And the way you're upgrading the machine is you are scaling, but you're scaling intelligently, okay? Now, when everybody scales, an operational megapreneur, you're going to go in and you're going to be exceptional. You're going to go right back into working 80 to 120 hours a week. You're not done with your entrepreneurship journey, even though you think you should be. Welcome back in. Only now the cool thing is you get to make a lot of money for your time. If you were making 100 grand a year doing $1 million business in operational entrepreneur, now you're going to make $1 million, $2 million, $3 million a year doing operational megapreneur, but you've still got that fucking work. So you're not going to push past, you're going to push into. So operational megapreneur has to understand scaling. And when they scale, they've got this business, they've got this machine, they've got this certain amount of customers, this certain amount of operations going on. And so now they need more customers, right? But you can't just start scaling customers because the machine you built handles the customers you initially had. So what do? First thing we do is we scale the brand. Because when the brand is better, people will pay more for it. If there's Nike or Reebok, one of them costs more money. I don't know who's where or whatever, but what I can tell you? I can tell you that a Volkswagen and a Porsche are basically made by the same fucking people.
Yep.
Only people pay a lot more for a Porsche, okay? And there's some fast fucking Volkswagens, but people will pay a lot more for the Porsche because of the brand. Now, both of them are mass production cars. Like, it's not like one's a Bugatti where everything was made by, human hand and this, that, and the other, or McLaren or some shit. No, they're both mass production. They're both made on an assembly line, but people will pay a lot more for that higher margin product that they feel special about because it's their identity, right? So brand matters. So when you scale brand, then you scale margin. Because demand went up when brand went up. And if demand goes up, then you can raise price. And when you raise price, you raise margin. And when you raise margin, you have more cash. And when you have more cash and cash flow, then you can scale, guess what? Operations. Add team, add systems, add more people. And then you can scale customers. Does this make sense? Now we have more teams, we have more capacity, we have more ability to deliver, now scale customers. But when there's more customers, you have a new problem. It got bigger, and everybody questions bigger because bigger means bad. I like small, I like authentic, I like heart-to-heart, I like one-on-one, all that bullshit, right? So then you got to scale brand again to go back, and it's a cycle. And you can't scale 10 things at once. You got to scale one. And so this is operational megapreneur. And this is how you get bigger, 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 bigger. And the problem here is it's an unending loop. I have some clients that I coach that are fucking huge, and they're like in their 50s and 60s, and they're amazing human beings. And they're huge. They're making like tens of millions of dollars a year, but they're fucking busy. And they're like, God, we just got to get out of this loop. And so to graduate and become the next stage, which is called megapreneur, that's where you really buy into the identity of training your replacement, which frankly should be the process the entire way through, and it'll make everything easier. If you build a culture of training your replacement, and
I like
I've heard
that
it
framework
too.
that you have.
It's so big. And a lot of people are like, well, why would I train my replacement? I won't have a job. Yeah, you're right, stupid. You won't have the same job. You'll be promoted. I would not hire a shitty fucking employee to train the replacement. I'll fire that employee. I'll train the fucking replacement. But if you're fucking amazing and you're helping everybody around you, I'm going to promote you. And so when you have an operational megapreneur going to megapreneur, that's where you're like, okay, I don't need to scale at quite the same rate. I can get a really high-level management team that can still continue scaling in an upward trend and all that, but it doesn't need to be me anymore. I don't need to be at the fucking 90% arc and 90-degree arc or whatever. But like, I maybe we'll grow at 5% or 10% a year. But fuck, I'm happy because I'm making 10 or 20 million a year. And that's where you're like, I need to hire a COO. I need to get my CFO. I need to get my CMO, my marketing operations officer. I need to get my CEO eventually, the chief executive officer. I talk to so many young entrepreneurs and they're like, oh yeah, I got a CEO. And I'm like, you have 6 employees.
$200,000 a year. Yeah.
Yeah. And with fucking 6 employees or some shit. And I'm like, chief executive officer, CEO. So are all of your employees executives? Well, no. Why the fuck do you have a CEO? That doesn't make any sense. You're literally feeding somebody's ego and it's going to backfire in your face and hurt so fucking much.
Talk about that real quick about giving people names too fast in the company. And that's something that I've seen.
I mean, look, if you want to give somebody a title and you got a janitor and you're like sanitation engineer, okay, whatever. Like it's some made up bullshit. And I don't really have an issue with that. Where I have an issue is when you take a well-known title, and you use and leverage that to just pay somebody less. Like when you go tell somebody, hey, I'm going to give you this title, which a lot of gurus teach you should do. Feed their ego and you don't have to pay them. Well, guess what happens when you do that with children? You create entitled children. Okay? If you feed their ego, if you give everyone a fucking trophy, they'll continue to suck because they get a trophy for nothing. Don't feed their ego instead of paying them. Pay them. Like in all of my companies, I am the highest fucking paying company in the industry. I want the best people, and for the best product, I'll pay the best price. Like, I'm not going to go and buy the fucking Honda Civic and try to make it faster than a McLaren if I want the ego feed of owning a McLaren. I'll just buy the fucking McLaren. Like, I'm not going to be like, can I get the $3,000 car? Because one day I'll upgrade it. I'll upgrade it to deal with the $300,000 car, $400,000 car now. Like, no. Just pay for what you want. Get amazing people. And don't call people that aren't amazing, or you're rewarding mediocrity. And anything you invest in, you get more of. Anything you reward, you get more of. So stupid shit breeds stupid shit. And the moment you bring somebody into your business and you're like, you're amazing. And they're like barely a middle-level manager or something. You're calling them a CEO. Now they're going to start like showing up at all the events and rubbing elbows and mingling. And I'm the CEO. And look, I'm not judging anyone. I fucking did this. I did this with lots of people, and they were great people. They were great people that could have been great middle-level managers. They could have been a director of operations and led 10 people. Some of them maybe even like a COO, and led some directors of operations.
Yep.
But entitlement. Let me give you guys a scale, okay? Because this will make a lot of sense. When you entitle somebody, eventually their little brain is going to need that entitlement. It becomes a need, and it'll graduate to what's called narcissism. And when it graduates to narcissism and their framework of reality starts bucking them and things aren't working because their little narcissist brain's like, well, I'm special though, like I should be treated this way, and then they're not because society doesn't reward that shit, then they're going to have little psychotic outbursts. Okay? And they're going to like freak out and it's not like killing people or Jeffrey Dahmer or that shit. It's normally like a grown-ass man having a temper tantrum and being triggered, or a grown-ass woman having a temper tantrum and being triggered. Like when somebody gets triggered, it's a sign of stupidity. Like it's literally a sign of ignorance or stupidity. And it's a sign of narcissism. That's a psychotic outbreak that nobody would choose to do if they had free and conscious choice. And so eventually at that point, when they're having these little psychotic outbreaks, it's really interesting because they're gonna take a fork in the road and they're gonna have to choose which way they go. They're either gonna start humbling themselves back down and coming back down towards, okay, well, going back from psychotic outbreaks down to, narcissist, eventually, hopefully back down to entitled, and then maybe to normal human and some level of authenticity, or they're gonna go back up further, which is a psychopath. And a psychopath is somebody that has basically created a framework of reality that they're living in here, not in reality. And anytime they get in pain, they blame everybody else and they attack everybody else. And frankly, we live in an age of psychopaths because the social media generation and our ability to market, manipulate emotions, and trigger people has gotten so good. Like, we live in the misinformation age. We use it for advertising. We use it for politics. We use it for fucking everything. And the problem is, people don't know it's being used on them, but they're not living on purpose. And when I say living on purpose, it's my favorite thing to teach. If you're living on purpose, you would never choose anger, pain, depression, sadness, fear, any of the negative emotions. Now, we all have them, no different than the yin and the yang. That little black and white circle has a little black dot in the white area and the white dot in the black area. Like good needs evil and evil needs good. Light needs darkness and darkness needs light. Warmth needs cold and cold needs warmth. We wouldn't even underwrite the other one if we didn't have another one, right? So, like, having anger, like getting angry, it's okay. Like, it's good. You should definitely feel that because it's going to make joy that much better. But feel it for a minute or 5. Like, don't let it fuck up your day. You have, what is it, 86,400 seconds in every fucking day? And normally what made you angry took like 3 seconds and people let it ruin their whole day. Exactly. That's so fucking stupid. Like, and we live in the age where stupidity reigns and just people don't realize that their subconscious patterns are driving them. And we know that subconscious patterns drive behaviors. It's the reason human beings are the dominant species on the planet. It's also the reason that you can drive your car, talk on your fucking cell phone, and shave at the same time without crashing, even though all of those things are complex behaviors. But if your subconscious mind is driving your patterns, and it's consciousness that makes us human, then is subconscious subhuman? And I would submit to you that the answer is absolutely yes. Because human is building rapport and being authentic and looking at everybody else around you and saying, hey, you know what, brother? Let's find a way to build this better. Let's find a way to fall in love more, whether it's brotherly love or familial love or whatever. Let's find a way to make life a better fucking thing to live. That's human. That's consciousness. That's free thinking. And people don't do that. They get in their subconscious and they need emotions and dopamine hits and serotonin hits and cortisol hits frequently after these cell phones have given them to them that people are just falling apart. They're not living on purpose. So, God, what did you say to trigger me into this one? Because this is like literally my favorite talk. Where did we start with on this?
Where did we start? I said giving people names too early is a trend that I've seen that is like fucked stuff off.
Yeah, and that okay, so it goes into that like the psychopath scale, right? And we live in the age of psychopaths, but we've conditioned it. The market will crash in the next 6 months, 9 months for sure. Okay, and fully crash. Like we haven't even hit the bottom, and it's going to crash fucking bad, Stratton. Every recession has an epicenter. Do you know what this recession's epicenter is? The dot-com boom of the 90s.
Yeah, the dot-com
created a bust. Mortgage-backed securities created 2008. What's this recession's epicenter? How come we don't know it?
You think it's COVID?
No, fuck no. No, COVID wasn't even a recession. We didn't have 2 negative calendar quarters.
Right. I mean, so you do believe we're in a recession. You don't believe Mr. Joe Biden that's saying we're redefining a recession?
Look, Joe Biden is elderly abuse, bro, and I'm not making a Republican statement there. Frankly, they're just as fucking bad.
That is 100% of a true fact.
But he's not running things. I mean, like I don't even question at this point that he's senile and probably lost his mind. I mean, he was looking for a dead person the other day on live television, and that's sad, man. I mean, it's just sad seeing that stuff's going on. But like the epicenter of this recession is misinformation. Companies and AI softwares and technology and governments and everything else have gotten so good at hacking the human psyche for advertising purposes and, whether it's education or information or marketing or influence purposes, that we know how to trigger people. And what we found that to inspire you, we're going to have to spend a shitload more time than to piss you off or make you scared or get you to act or react.
Yep.
So guess which one we're gonna do? And unfortunately, this is happening all over the place. Like, shit, dude, I got censored on several social media outlets because I asked questions. I'm not a registered Democrat or Republican. I voted both ways, but I have people calling me a fascist. Okay. And you know what fascist is now, because like I ask questions. I'm like I asked a question on social media the other day and people were like, you're a fascist. Okay, like a few years ago, people were like, you're a racist because I asked questions. I was a racist because I asked questions. Like I have no idea how I'm a racist because I ask questions. Like I didn't even know that fucking translated. Like I'm surprised how that works. Now I'm a fascist because I ask questions, because if we say racist these days, it just holds a little less water than when we say fascist. Now we can say fascist. It's the new racist. Does that make sense?
Because
racist.
People overuse the term racist, and now you don't know who's racist. To where I have a friend in college, to where he's from like backwoods Georgia, to where dudes were still getting lynched. Like, yeah, I mean that's racist, right? I mean,
that's
but then
racist.
You call some dude on Twitter a racist for a statement. Like it loses all of its weight.
For its political view, and frankly, there are racists, and it's a fucking problem. And there's way less than there were 100 years ago, thank God, but it's still a problem, and we should deal with it, and we should make sure that it's taken care of. But the moment that we try to expand it by identifying everything as racist, like oh God, one of my favorite things is like it loses its value. Like, right now they're out there, they're saying white nationalists. I'm like, why did nationalism have to be a white thing or be a bad thing? Like, it shouldn't be a bad thing. It shouldn't be a white thing.
It should be a nationalist, number one.
Why can't we all love our country? Like, and you ask that question and they censor you, and it's like, huh? Like, it's so fucking weird. Like, right now we live in the misinformation age. It's the epicenter. It's driving people's emotions to an insecure place. And eventually they're going to recess. Like they're going to anger patterns, depression patterns, other areas where there's a shitload of problems that are not being solved. And this is the epicenter of this recession. And how do we come out of it? Honestly, like I think with the truth, it's the only thing that ever sets anyone free. So that's the only way out of it. And I mean, dude, we live in the best time ever. Like, let me give you this one, because if you're your viewers are probably mostly entrepreneurial, right, Stratton?
Yeah.
Okay. If you're an entrepreneur and you are not excited about this recession, you got to wake the fuck up. Because what is a recession? The real definition of a recession, okay? It is when capital is returned to its rightful owners. Let that one sink in. I'm going to say that one more time, because that's a powerful fucking statement. It's when capital is returned to its rightful owners. So let's ask a question then. Let's go into that little hot tub thinking moment. Hey, sitting in water with Preston, right? Well, how do you become one of its rightful owners? In every recession, wealth does change hands, which means ownership is not a constant. It's an idea, okay? And the idea around ownership means you have to be a free thinker. You have to be a measurer. You have to understand how the world really works. You can't go believe the convenient little lies or stories or political misinformation or social media misinformation or frankly media misinformation or any of the bullshit that the group cults think. You have to be able to sit on the sidelines and be like, oh, does that really make sense? And okay, well, what do people really want? Or could this be in direct contradiction to human nature and society is made up of humans? Like, if it's outside of human nature, it's not politically incorrect to question it. Like, there's nothing wrong with asking questions. In fact, science is all about
based on questioning everything at all times and pushing it to the next level.
Yeah, go back to Isaac Newton. Go back to Isaac Newton and look like, what is the scientific method? It's like, we have an idea, a question, and we're going to test it because that question is now a hypothesis. We haven't proven it yet. When the hypothesis becomes an exact answer over and over and over again, all of a sudden you have what's called a constant. And
then they still question the constant. Like,
right.
Good scientists still question the constant.
Yeah, especially when new ideas come up, like new technologies, new ideas, new this, then the constants get questioned. But like, at least at that point, okay, well, the greatest evidence we have of the way things work is this constant. And so now the moment you ask a question, you're a racist, you're a fascist, you're this, it all means shut up. And the moment you shut up, they're all telling you, oh, be humble. Be humble means
that's
be
the
quiet.
word. No, I don't like that phrase. I mean, I grew up in a very small town in Utah, and everybody wanted you to be humble. But I think it's the worst thing ever. Like Tom Brady is not humble. Like I think of like high performing people who actually like make change in the world. None of them are. They're humble, but they're not, right? I mean, they know that someone could do the same thing that they could, but do they not think that they're the baddest motherfucker on the planet? No, they know they're the baddest motherfucker on the planet.
They're a fucking closer, bro. I mean, like, look, humble. The best lie the devil ever tells is seeded with truth. Okay, so should you be humble? Yeah, be humble to your God. You know, be humble when you and your wife are having a fight and say, hey, you know what? Look, I love you. I didn't mean to get here. Like, let's find a way to talk through this. Like, there's times where you can be humble, but I think everybody should be loud. Like, if be humble means be quiet and be meek and get walked on, fuck that. I'm never going to be humble, and nobody else should. What we should do is share our fucking gifts and be loud. Like, money follows attention, and humble does not get attention. Okay? Authenticity gets attention. Authenticity and vulnerability becomes credibility. And maybe there's some humility in that, but it's a seed. And nobody's looking for just the seed. You need the whole fucking pie. You need to grow that seed to a whole fucking crop. You need to take that seed and like plant it, add some water, grow the rest of the fucking crop, and then be like, hey, here it really is. And so, honestly, man, like we live in the misinformation age. And this economy is going to crash and smash, and there's going to be blood in the streets and fucking pain. Okay? There's going to be tremendous pain. And it's going to be a restructure of wealth. And if you are in the owner's club, which means a free thinker asking a really simple question, does this align with human nature or not? Okay? Like look at the crypto boom that just recently happened and then crashed like a fucking rock. How many billions were lost in that? And everybody's like, Preston, why aren't you in crypto? And I mean, eventually I think I bought like 40 grand or 50 grand worth of Bitcoin or some shit. Maybe some Ethereum. And I lost a little money and I've made some on other stuff. But like, I never went heavy. I have friends that lost millions. I have friends that lost tens of millions. And you know why?
They lost a lot.
They didn't understand, bro. They didn't understand. This is definitely a wave of the future. Okay? Like blockchain technology is not going anywhere, but it's a lot like the .com boom of the 90s.
I like that analogy to where you don't know who's going to emerge. Like it is 100% here. You just don't know who's going to emerge. And even the same thing happened with the car industry, right? Like to where when cars came out, I think there were hundreds of car manufacturers, but then like still nobody really knew who was going to emerge. And then the same thing with the .com boom, hundreds, if not thousands. And then you never know who was going to emerge.
And so at that point, if you're smart, you're going to be like, okay, well, like if I'm an early adopter, let me go put $100 in 100 coins and see which one does the best over the next 5 years. And then, you know, as you're watching, like at that point, like, okay, you kind of took a risk. You dropped 10 grand in or some shit like that in 100 different coins and you watched. And you know what? If you got into that early adopter with $100 and that turns into the $1 trillion company, that $100 is probably worth $10 million. Like, so, I mean, at that point, like, because you probably bought it, it was like 12 cents for that fucking coin. Like, and if you have enough excess, that's fine. But everybody was telling me, you need to buy millions worth of Bitcoin, you need to do this. And I was like, it's against human nature. Like, it's against human nature for human beings to say, you know what I want to do? I'm going to replace all of my politicians, all of my banks, my accepted social contract for the structure of the way human beings operate within an economy. And then, you know what I'm going to trade them for? 10,000 different coins, and I have no idea which one's going to work. That's not human nature. That's fucking complex. And all the people that didn't ask the question, is this contrary to human nature, lost lots of fucking money. And I'm sorry for them all. But the owner's club is going to look at what's in human nature's best interest. They're going to look at how do I measure this? How do I create a formula behind this? Whether it's a marketing grading scale, whether it's the flows of capacity, whether it's the different returns that you measure. Like everybody's like, oh, what's the ROI? What's the ROI? How many times has somebody asked you what's the ROI, Stratton?
A lot.
It's the stupidest fucking question. It's so fucking stupid. What's the ROI? Why are you asking about ROI? Have you gotten all your money back? Oh yeah, I've gotten 100% of my money back. Okay, well then it's really a stupid question. That's only not a stupid question if you haven't got all your money back. Okay, if you've got all your money back, your return's fucking infinite now. There's no way to measure the percentage, so it's a stupid question. Why don't we look at return on marketing? Oh, okay. That's what ROI becomes. What about like return on debt? What about return on balance sheet equity? What about return on time? What about return on emotion? Like, these are the other returns. There's 6 fucking returns. Measure the worst one. But people are always like, RLA. They just don't know the language. And then, like, people buy into these stupid narratives. They're like, the rich don't pay their fair share. How many times have we heard this shit? Okay? This one's so funny to me. Do you know how much money the government spent last year?
Oh, bro, it's insane. It is absolutely insane.
Do you know what that boils out to per person in America?
What?
$20,600. And you know what I know about America? 80% of America did not pay $20,600 in taxes. No. So did you pay your fair share? Well, look, if paying your fair share could be identified as at least covering your costs, then no, 80% of America fucking didn't. Shut up. So what do we need to look at? Now, do I think there should be like the rich should pay more? Sure. I'm fine with that. Like, this country's rewarded me. I'm all for like paying more than other people, and I do. But
I mean, you pay more. Sorry, go ahead. I don't mean to cut you off.
No. I mean, like, as long as it's a fair system, I'm not looking like we shouldn't go punish the rich. We shouldn't punish people for like creating opportunities. That's a really stupid behavior too. But like, I have no problem. Like, look, if you want me to pay fucking 30% and the poor to pay 10%, that's fine. But we should also have our politicians regulated to where, do you know what the 10% is that the poor should pay? Their cost. Like, so if the poor is going to pay like, say 10% of their income, which is $3,000, then that is how much money the government gets to spend based on the tax revenue they collected. You cannot spend more than you take in, any more than you or I or any other American can. We should not be asking, did they pay their fair share at the same level that we should be asking, are we spending too much? What are we spending this on? Why are we giving money? Like, why are we fucking selling oil out of our strategic reserves to Chinese companies that are part of the Chinese
that one is wild.
Why the fuck is that happening? Like, you know, why are we questioning climate change if in all probability it was our government that fucking blew up those pipelines and leaked tons and tons of methane into the atmosphere? Oh, but wait, everybody go buy a fucking electric car so that we can power it with the fucking coal plant. And
overload the grid.
Yeah, it's so stupid. Like we need progress. Like, and I'm not a climate change denier either. Like, nobody wants pollution, right? Like, I do believe we should plant more trees. I do believe we should have cleaner energy. I don't get why a lot of the greenies are against nuclear. Nuclear is a wonderful source. It's the only
option. It's the only option.
Yeah.
It is the only realistic option.
And while we're doing nuclear, we should develop solar and wind technology. I mean, we should develop technology where we could like bore to the core of the earth and use some of like, you know, the heat from the core of the earth. Like, there's other technologies. Like, but like, let's develop it. But if we're going to talk about this, you can't go say, let me get a fucking electric car and then we'll buy Russian oil, or we'll buy fucking Argentinian oil, or we'll buy, you know, Saudi Arabian oil where they don't have an EPA that's like drilling it out of the ground cleaner than us. That is the dumbest shit. Like, you can't have one without the other. We need both to talk to each other, not hate on each other. Like, it's like, you know.
All right. Couple of things. Number one, America needs 100% energy independence. And that's the end of the story. That's what has to happen.
Amen.
Number two, I think I'm on the side of, I think government is 100% bad at capital allocators, to where if I gave that same amount of money to Elon Musk, the amount of good that would happen, new jobs and everything else, could probably be done better. Like, just flat out fact. You have a bunch of stupid bureaucrats handling everything who've never had to even manage a balance sheet, trying to allocate capital, and it doesn't work.
Oh, and let me throw this in. Here's an evidence to that point, okay? Much as everybody doesn't like him, and Trump is a narcissist. The guy's an asshole.
Is a narcissist. Okay? But bro, the dude is a businessman.
But he ran our country and our economy and our foreign policy and our energy policies so well that everybody measurably had a better lifestyle, except for who? The super rich. I'm getting so much fucking richer. You know why? Because inflation benefits the super rich. The more regulation and the more taxes, the more the poor and the middle class suffers. And so here's a question I asked the other day, just to kind of give you even more. And this creates like all this bullshit that I'm sorry, and I'm throwing this in your podcast. I asked a question on social media the other day. If the Democrats are the party of the poor and the middle class, how come that, and obviously that would imply that the Republicans are the party of the rich, right? And how come the Democrat Party can out fundraise the Republican Party 2x to 5x, 200% to 500% in every fucking campaign? Like, they're funded by Wall Street. Who benefits with all this government spending, all this inflation, all this new taxation, all this new regulation? The only companies that benefit are corporate interests. Wall Street's the one that benefits.
Like real companies.
Yeah. Yeah, well, it's actually the large public companies and even the large private companies where people are going to say, hey, you know what? If you shut down all the small businesses, the people that employ 50% of the country, we all have a monopoly. Yeah, you're going to spend shitloads of money to bail out all the new poor people that voted for this because they are ignorant and don't realize what's happening. But we got a monopoly. We got fucking richer. So Democrats, my richest friend that I know says, if you want to live like a Republican, you got to hope people vote Democrat. Really? Let that one sink in. My richest friend says that. Huh. You want to live like a Republican, you got to hope people vote Democrat. Because they'll fuck everything up and make it easier for entrepreneurs to succeed. They'll let that recession become the return of real capital to its rightful owners. And all you have to do is understand human nature and ask questions and use science. I love it when Democrats take office. I love it when Republicans take office. I like it when Republicans take office because the markets seem to get better. Now, if they get too much power, you have McCarthyism.
Right. There's sides to each sword.
Yeah.
All right. I got another question for you.
Shoot.
How do you find good operators, and what questions are you asking them when you're hiring them? And then how are you leading them on a day-to-day for each different company and then your CEO? It's 3 questions.
So mostly I build good operators. The ones that I find, I will go to higher level management teams. Look, a director of operations for a company, somebody who's in charge of running a company. Most companies don't need huge teams. Okay, I think my home building company has 40 or 50 people. There's 2 directors of operations, and of course, my CEO and my COO will review them. But they're people that are passionate about what they do, and they understand key performance indicators. Okay, they understand initiatives the company's taking and key performance indicators. So I use gradable job descriptions. If we know that the company needs to do these 10 things, like these are the 10, 20 things that our customer needs to become a very successful company. And I take each of those 10, 20 things and I break them down in as many ways as I can. And I add 5 to 10 items to every job description within the company that makes up all of those things. That way there's a seamless transition of all those things and they get delivered at the right stages and times so the customer's happy. Then I have a director of operations that measures those things, the high level things, are the key performance indicators of the company. And the employees all have a gradable job description. So you have 10 items on your job description, right? And each one's worth 10 points. You can get up to 100 points. Does that make sense?
Yep.
And so if there's 10 items up to 100 points and you're getting a 70, you need a lot of micromanagement and you're going to kill that fucking company, which means whatever got you a 70, we're going to sit down, we're going to have a conversation. And that's what that director of operations and COO is going to be doing. And they're going to say, hey, dude, I see you got a 4 on this item, a 4 on this item, a 4 on this item. You might have got 10s on all these other items, but these 4s are fucking unacceptable. Okay? What do you not understand? What do you need training on? What's hurting you? Are you either untrained, do you not know, or do you not give a shit? If you're untrained, we'll help you. If you don't know, we'll help you. If you don't give a shit, we'll help you out the fucking door. And that's what the director of operations, who is a measurer, not a manager, you measure first, then you can become a manager, right? Does. And so I'll build them. So I'll give you an example. The guy that runs my field in my construction company, he was one of the best foremen in El Paso. I hired him as a foreman. And the guy cared so much, he just started helping everyone. He already had in his mind, even for his peers that were not above him, I need to help everyone. He was so fucking good. He took his extra time and helped everybody. I watched that and I was like, fuck, you're not paid enough. How would you like to lead everybody that you're helping? He said, well, boss, I don't care about leading. I just want the company to do well. This is a guy with a company spirit. He cares. And I'm like, I'm going to pay you this and I'm going to pay you these bonuses. He's never made so much fucking money in his life. He loves the company. Same with the gal that runs my office. She was a warranty director for another home building company. She came in, she just fucking shined. She came in and what we told her initially is I was like, your job is to make my CEO's job easier. And she did. She would go and fight that girl for her job. And not to take the job away, to take tasks away. She was like, look, This is beneath your pay grade. Let me help. Eventually, she was training other people, helping other people do that stuff, and going and still taking stuff. Eventually, we had to be like, look, we don't need you to take anymore. Calm the fuck down. You don't need to be the CEO yet. But this girl runs the most efficient home building company Right now, my profit margins on that company are 5 times more than the most profitable company in this city, in the same industry, has ever made.
Wow.
That's disgusting. But that's how efficient we are. Most of my competitors have fucking 80 to 120 employees. I have 40. Okay? Most of my competitors have brands that are subpar. Luxury products equal luxury margins. We make sure our products are luxury. We deliver a higher level of service. We have a sign out front. We reserve the right to refuse service to assholes. If you're an asshole customer, we fire you. Everybody likes having good neighbors. Our reviews have gotten better. We're the highest of the high. We have real estate agents from other companies, reps from other companies. Fuck your shits together. Will you please let us know if you're ever hiring? We have a chef at our fucking office that makes anybody that here wants one coffee, shakes, food. We have people that are on keto. They get fucking keto lunches. When you have a better product and a better service and a better margin, a better everything, you make your customers' lives better. Follow this mantra. Company first. Why? We all live, die, and eat out of the company. Second, staff. Third, customer. If you follow that mantra and priorities, and with that mantra and those priorities, you apply these core values: productivity, transparency, integrity, and kindness in all that you do, you're going to have a very successful company. You'll have problems, but they shouldn't scare you. Approach them, identify them, find out about them, and build your top people. Unless it's a CFO, because CFOs love numbers no matter where they are. And
you should probably have a professional at that point, anyways.
Yeah, that's a person.
CFO.
Yeah, you can build a COO. You can even build a CEO. That one you might hire a CEO. But definitely, I would say hire out a CFO. And a lot of times they're cheaper than you think. We got a CFO and he's incredible. He came from this big corporate company. And you know what I know about corporate companies? They don't pay that well. This was a company
it's crazy,
all
bro.
Mexico and the United States.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm going to pay you this. He was like, wow, that's a lot. And I was like, welcome.
Awesome.
I love it. and he's fucking amazing. And we've added bonus programs to him and everything else. And now he's making more than he's ever made. And he's fucking thrilled. And he's bought into the company. But he understands that. And that's his world. I wouldn't try to build that. Don't take a bookkeeper and try to make him a CFO. That's one where somebody with some gray hairs is the best.
So do you hire builders is one thing that I was talking about people in my mastermind. I was like, you need someone who can help you actually build out systems and operations, especially if you're like me, to where I'm more of the sales rep marketing guy, to where I'm not going to fucking sit down. If I have to sit down in front of a computer for a week, I'm going to die. Right. So I need someone who's either an assistant or who can handle operational tasks immediately, is what I always say.
You're going to hate this answer. I'm going to completely disagree with you.
Just
and here's why.
Grit it down and get it done.
One time. I kind of have a rule. You never delegate what you haven't done. So
okay.
I completely agree with you anytime you've already learned the process. Okay, I train my CEO, my COO, my DOs, all of them. If you don't know how to sweep a fucking floor, you're the first one doing it.
Okay.
If you don't know how to build an Excel sheet, you're the first one fucking doing it. Now, you need to hire people and delegate. It's who, not how. There's a great book, Who, Not How. Everybody should read it.
Amazing book.
Because getting the right who's is so critical. But I truly think to build a big company that's truly yours, dude, I hate Excel sheets. I hate software. I hate technology. I do not like it. I could learn to do it, and I have learned to do it. And part of the reason my shit runs so seamlessly and I'm so fucking efficient is because I despise it. So I make sure it stays way simpler than anybody else that loves it. And so my shit, I have this it's like a 60-page Excel sheet that all talks to each other for my home building company. And we track everything. I built it. I gritted down for the better part of 6 months and I'd go update it and this, that, and the other. And the girl that knew processes at my office, who's now my CEO, this girl's a machine. She's a computer. She could run everything. But she was like, how do you create these things? It's so fucking simple that the secretary can understand it. And I'm like, yeah, because I hate it. Me hating it is a different gift. So I'll build it, and then you do it. Because she loves it. And when they love it, they're going to make it to where it's what they love. Complex and fucking, ugh.
Okay. That's a different point of view. How are you hedging against the upcoming downturn in your building company? Because that's the. Do you like take a bunch of deposits? Like, how are you doing it?
So honestly, like I'm not that worried about it. Like we are 5 million units too short
Of just flat out
and
supply.
yeah, and I mean, I've slowed down a little bit, like on purpose. Like we had, I think, 210, 220 homes under construction because I'm only in one market right now. And we're down at about 145 now, where we're not starting as many as we were starting. Okay. Two, we've sped up our construction processes a lot by shrinking down. I mean, here's a fact that you could tell everybody, and this is one of those like $1 million moments. If they write this down, they'll figure it out. Nobody builds an efficient company. You build an inefficient company and then you shrink it down and you carve off the inefficient pieces. And when you shrink it down, you shrink down to an efficient company, and then you can scale that. So we built big and then we shrank down, which was actually perfect timing for this recession. We're very high margin. So if we had to, we could drop prices. But at the same time, because I don't pay myself that much. Like I live very happily. I'm in El Paso, Texas, off like $500,000 a year. I make so much more than that it's not even funny. So all my companies are really fucking capitalized, and I've got like 2,500 apartment units and other assets and shit like that, which all my rents have gone through the fucking roof. Like I mean, we're doing fantastic. I have 50 or 60 unsold homes in my 140 homes that I'm building. The rest are sold, and I could just buy them all.
Right. And
I could either
them out and weather the storm.
Yeah, and right now we're still selling. Like we're in El Paso. China did us a huge favor with their no COVID policy and said, we're going to shut down cities. We're going to fuck supply chains all over Earth. We're going to screw all this shit up. Well, what do you think that did with Mexico? Mexico was like, oh, we can make things even better than China. Maybe not quite as cheap, but we don't have the shipping. And El Paso, Texas is right on the border. It's like literally the perfect fucking hub to ship everything everywhere. So my town's booming. Plus, we get all the Californians and people from Colorado and people that hate the taxes that are moving to Texas. Like Southern California, there's a lot of Hispanic population there. And guess where they have family? El Paso and San Antonio. So guess where they fucking move? Here. And then they're like, oh, fuck, you have houses for $500,000? Oh, I'll buy one. You know, and I mean, they love it. And well, all my competitors, they're also shrinking their inventory. They're like, oh, we're only going to build the 1,500 square foot houses. I'm like, okay, well, I'll build 2,500 square foot houses. They're like, you're going to die. I'm like, why? You know, if the market was like, hey, you know, every month there's going to be 100, 2,500 square foot houses that sell, and every builder was building a few of them, only now the market's going to be like, hey, there's only going to be 30, 2,500 square foot houses that sell, but nobody's building them except me. Well, that just means I grew during a recession.
Yeah.
If I was doing 20 homes a month, now I'm doing 30 because nobody else did it because they all ran away scared.
Exactly.
And so you got to remember, and this is what I tell everybody, there's always a market. Like we got lights now, right? There's a light switch in that room you're in so you can turn on the lights. Why would anybody buy a fucking candle? Oh shit, they're luxury items now. So the candle market still exists. You don't need horses anymore because we have cars. There's a fucking horse
massive
market.
Yeah.
And I mean, the rich people took it over. They're like, ooh, that's really cool shit. The rich people go take all the shit that goes away, and then they make it a luxury market. It's phenomenal. So, I mean,
that's very true.
How am I hedging? I never stopped hedging. People that take all their cash off the table and out of their company don't have strong companies, and those companies die when the markets die. And I'm hedging because my company's very strong. And I've got 18 of them, and 16 of them are in and around real estate. Like when I own the brokerage, and I own the title company, and I own a property management company, and I own a hard money lending company, and I own a home wholesaling company, and I own a home building company. And I mean, like, and we can go on and on and on and on and on. Like, my risk is mitigated massively, and all of my companies are fucking capitalized. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
And I've also got investors who are friends where if shit came down the line, I could be like, hey, how would you like to buy 50 homes with me? So if that makes sense.
Oh yeah, 100%. I don't want to take up too much of your time, dude. Thank you so much for coming on. Any parting words?
You know what? Let me give your audience one last formula, because you're coming into the best time to ever get into business. And this is going to be the largest massive transfer of wealth that's ever happened on earth. And recessions are when they get rich, so they should be excited. It's an investment formula, and it's fill the buckets, right? Bucket one, your mind. You fill this bucket first. You fill your mind first. And you do not invest in any other fucking thing until you filled your mind. If you have $5 to your name, go on Audible, buy a fucking book. Okay? If all of a sudden you've got $500 to your name, go to a seminar. I don't care what seminar that is, or invest in a coaching program, something like that. I've got a coaching program. You've probably got a coaching program. Everybody's got a coaching program. Like, go find somebody who you resonate with, who you want to be like, and invest in that shit. Mindset first, fill the bucket. Next, invest in your business. Don't go listen to the guy selling stocks or insurance or bonds or crypto or NFTs or any of the other bullshit, or the guy with the business idea or whatever. Invest in your fucking business. If you are painting driveways, paint driveways. If you are like, building houses, build houses. Like, if you need the software, get the software. If you need a person, get the person. Like, once you've filled the mindset buckets, anything that overflows out of that bucket goes into your business. When that bucket is overflowed, get into real estate. Why real estate? You have income benefits. You have tax benefits. You have inflation benefits. And here's another little piece on real estate. Do you know what the most important thing to invest in is? The most high margin thing is? It's the thing that the last recession was based on. So if the last recession was based on mortgage-backed securities, that means nobody's going to do it in this recession, or at least not enough people. That means there's going to be a decline in value, which is going to change very rapidly. And after every recession other than 08, there's been an enormous real estate boom. Tax benefits, inflation benefits, cash flow benefits, and you're married to the property, not the fucking mortgage. You can refinance that shit, invest in fucking real estate. Once you fill that bucket, or you don't have enough deals and you're making money, tax hedges, apartment syndications. That's where you're starting to look at airplanes, oil and gas leases, solar and wind. The government comes up with programs because they don't have enough money to invest in things, and you find out what those programs are and you invest in them, and you will get filthy, stinking fucking rich. And then last, all the other bullshit. That's where you're getting your stocks, your bonds, your mutual funds, your NFTs, all that shit.
Yeah.
I mean, like, at any one time, I probably have less than $1 million in that. Okay. And I make more than that number every month. Okay. So follow that investment formula. That is what one guy told me. If you invest in this, you will be a centimillionaire in 10 years. And he didn't lie. And then if anybody's looking for me, look for me on the Preston Brown, my Instagram, my TikTok. You can message me. We'll give you the documents. We'll help anybody we can, because we want to see everybody fucking succeed. There is enough out there. There's abundance. Go fucking grab your piece of the pie.
Hell yeah, man. Thank you so much for coming on.
Stratton, thanks for having me, man. You have an amazing day on purpose, bro.
Thank you, bro. You too.
All right, bye.